Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mon Kurian going live today from Tiju's Academy, Tiruvalla. Hope you all are doing good. So let's start today's session. So in the Namakanokanana, we are going to look into the part 3, that is our follow-up session. So dealing with tough questions in part 3. Part 3, number tough questions, how to deal with that in part 3. So in speaking there are 3 sessions. Aditya part 1 is the warm-up. Then you have the cue card, and then we have the follow-up. So today I'm going to give you information on how to deal with tough questions in part 3, that is your follow-up. So let's move over to the first slide. Aditya slide will move it. Namukku nokkam endanadu. Okay. So what does it say? As candidates prepare for the IELTS examination, they encounter various challenges, one of which is navigating the demanding part 3 of the speaking test. In this article, we will delve into effective strategies for mastering the art of handling tough questions in IELTS speaking part 3. So IELTS part 3, it is part 1, that is the warm-up, is all about answering yes and no. Do you like your like and dislike questions right? So that is all personal questions warm up. But when it comes to part 3, your follow up, it's challenging and it's demanding. Why? You have to answer in general, right? And it's more tough compared to your personal questions, where it's just 2 to 3 sentences we can stop. But when it comes to part 3 follow up, you need to speak for at least 4 to 5 sentences minimum. So that's a challenge. So how can we come over it and how can we deal with it? So there are first few slides that I prepared for you guys. So let's look into it. So part 3 is a discussion. It lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. In part 3 is the most challenging part of the IELTS speaking test. It involves a discussion between the candidate and the examiner on a more abstract and complex topic related to part 2 theme. The question in this section requires the candidates to express opinions, analyze ideas, and engage in a deeper conversation. So, the follow-up questions will be related to your cue card, part 2, your cue card session or your task card session. So you will get a cue card. Our cue card question maybe travel related, something related to what you did in your last vacation. So all your questions that are going to come up over in your part 3 will be related to that, related to your part 2 theme. Not the entirely but general idea in the part 3 part. That is your follow-up part. So make sure that you understand, and when you speak in your part 2, namal cue card make sure that you are ready to answer your part 3, because that questions that will come to you on part 3 will be related to your cue card or your task card question. Okay, adutha namakku poi nokkam. What are the strategies for excelling in IELTS speaking part 3? Okay, so there's a technical glitch. The power is gone here. Okay, we are back. Okay, so what are the strategies for excelling in IELTS speaking part 3? So, korchu slides have made some slides for you guys. Strategies how to tackle part 3 and how to be how to perform your best to get a good band score. So first thing is active listening. Active listening is a foundational skill for success in part 3. So pay close attention to the examiner's questions, as they often contain clues and keywords that can guide your response. Ensure you understand the question fully before formulating your answer. That's very true. So active listening is a very important part. It's an important and an integral part before answering any questions. Namukku question manasilayalle nammal answer cheyan pattatullu. So you have to listen carefully, understand what the question means, and then go ahead and answer. So active listening plays an important role for your part 3, not only in your part 3, also in other sessions also. So you have to listen, understand, and then formulate your answer, and then go ahead and answer. Fair enough. So let's move over to the next slide. Paraphrasing and expanding. So paraphrasing endana, expanding endana. When you receive a challenging question, it's essential to paraphrase it in your own words to demonstrate your comprehension. Additionally, expand on your answers by providing detailed explanations, examples, and personal experiences. This showcases your ability to communicate effectively. So, paraphrase question vannu without changing the meaning of the question, nammal adu paraphrase cheyidu, and then after that you give your answers. You start giving your answers, and when you give your answers, provide detailed explanations. Why? This is general ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. They're going to ask you in general, and you need to be sure that you give a minimum of 4 to 5 sentence answer. It should be long, detailed. Try to add examples, and if possible, if it's something that you have already experienced, നിങ്ങൾ അത് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, if it's something that you have already gone through or you have done it, your personal experience, go ahead and do it. Speak it out. So that will be more effective. Why? When you relate it to yourself, the answers will flow freely. Answers freely ആയിരിക്കും നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത്. You don't have to think about it because you have already experienced it. നിങ്ങൾ already ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, right? And you know what you have done and what you have experienced, so you can give the answers effectively. So paraphrasing and expanding. Okay, let's see what's the other one. Balanced responses. Avoid one-word answers or overly brief responses. Aim for balanced, well-structured answers that include an introduction, main point, and a conclusion. This demonstrates your ability to sustain a conversation. So, endana idu? Avoid one-word answers. Don't give a yes or a no answer. Say yes and then support it. Indinana ningal yes parnge, indinana ningal no parnge. Yes or no, and then go ahead, support it, say why you feel it like that, and what are your reasons for it. Examples idan nokkanam, right? Just well structured ayirikana, it should be well structured, the grammar and everything, the flow, the fluency, right? And then main points add cheyan nokkanam, and a conclusion saying that this is why I feel, or this is what I feel, this is my opinion, angane parangitte nammal adu stop cheyan nokkanam, right? It should be a well balanced answer, a balanced response where you have covered everything starting from the beginning all the way to the end. And make sure one word answers kodukale yes and no. Why? Because the examiner, one word answer kodukumbo namakku examiner ne manasilathilla, you just said yes but you are not supporting it. Why did you say yes or why did you say no? So make sure you support it and go ahead and structure it and conclude starting till the end. Go in a flow. Okay, let's move over to the next slide. Vocabulary enhancement. Building a strong vocabulary is critical for part 3. Utilize a wide range of vocabulary to express your ideas accurately. However, only use words you are comfortable with to avoid errors. If you all know, vocabulary plays an important part in IELTS speaking. The weightage for vocabulary is 25%, right? So, how to build a strong vocabulary? You can only build a strong vocabulary if you read a lot. Uttri vaikkumbo, you get new words, and when you get new words, what do? Adine meaning nammal nokkum. And when you look at the meaning, you understand, okay, word in the meaning idana, adine kore synonyms varum, you understand that as well, what the meaning and the synonyms are for this word. And when you practice, you can use this. So vocabulary won't come in a day, it will only come when you read a lot. Reading habit undengi, it will be very helpful. So make sure you have a reading habit so that you gain or you get more vocabulary. Ningalude vocabulary enhance aganu, you get a detailed vocabulary increase aganu. So vocabulary is important, not using the same word over and over again, trying to use different words for the same meaning word. So vocabulary will help. Synonyms use ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമുക്ക് മുമ്പോട്ട് പോകാം. So make sure you're practicing vocabulary as well because that's important. Okay. ഇനി നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത സ്ലൈഡിലോട്ട് പോകാം. Practice with mock test. To excel in part 3, practice is the key. Familiarize yourself with a variety of part 3 questions by using official IELTS practice materials and mock tests. This will help you become more comfortable with the format and types of questions. I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure നിങ്ങൾ practice ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ you know what are the IELTS IDP in the website on the IELTS in the IDP in the website recently or recently appeared questions okay varuvaayirikkum. You can, if you just Google or if you just search kore questions ningalku varum, what are the questions that's running around in India or the other countries. So try to practice it as much as possible. എത്ര maximum practice ചെയ്യുന്നു അത്രയും നല്ലതാണ്. So when you practice, what happens is, first of all, you will find your mistakes. നമ്മളുടെ mistakes എവിടെയാണ്, you can work on it. Moreover, you will become more and more comfortable, right? So when you go for your live examination, നമ്മൾ examination പോകുമ്പോൾ, you won't have that hesitation or that nervousness. You will be ready for the question and you can answer it in a good way. So make sure practice with mock test. And I believe any institute or anywhere that you are practicing, right, with your friends or your family members, or you record yourself, that's also fine. Take a cue card, record yourself and see what's lagging. ഇവിടെയാണ് നമ്മളത് പോകുന്നത്. Or when it comes to the follow-up questions, try to practice as much as possible. And by the way, when you practice, don't memorize it. Try to give natural answers. Do not try to memorize. Stay calm and confident. Excuse me. Part 3 can be intimidating, but maintaining your composure is essential. So what do? Stay calm, take a moment to think before responding, and speak confidently. Confidence in your abilities will reflect positively on your overall performance. Very, very important. Why? Because if you're not calm and confident, you will not perform. I'm sorry. So make sure whenever you are practicing, you become more confident. And when you become more confident, what happens is, when you go for your live examination, you will be not nervous. Yes, cherry nervousness kanum, but then you will be confident. You have practiced well and you are calm and you're confident, and you know the questions will be asked to you and you have to answer. So that nervousness, the level of nervousness and anxiety will go down or come down. So make sure that you take a moment and you take time before responding. Speak confidently, and this shows a positive image to your examiner, and overall in the end it will give you a better band score in your overall performance. So staying calm and confident is also an important criteria or important factor when it comes to the IELTS speaking, especially in your part 1, 2 and 3 as well, where you have to answer more challenging questions. Avade uttri challenging questions aanallo varna in the part 3 session. Why? Because the examiner is asking, and maybe rebuttals edakke he is going to stop you or she is going to stop you, the examiner is going to stop you and then ask you why, and then ask you your opinions and other to talk more in detail. So that can be a challenge. So only if you're calm and confident can you answer these, the part 3 session. Okay, അടുത്ത സ്ലൈഡിൽ പോയിട്ട് നോക്കാം. Critical thinking. Part 3 often involves discussing abstract and complex topics, engaging in critical thinking by examining different aspects of the issue, considering pros and cons, and forming well-reasoned opinions. This demonstrates your ability to analyze and evaluate ideas. I said before, these are all answers. These answers should be answered in not personal way, in a general way. And when you answer in general, you have to make sure that you don't say I, we say it, you say we, or what I believe is the opinion of my country, of my people. Angane parnju we aanu, it's in general alle. I parayende avashyam varnillalo avade, right? So avade endana, engage in critical thinking by examining different aspects of the issue. So how do you get all this? Considering the pros and cons, that is the advantages and disadvantages. Pros and cons, the advantages, the negatives and the positives, advantages and the disadvantages, right? So considering the pros and cons and forming well-reasoned opinions. So when you're giving an opinion, make sure you are forming a well-reasoned opinion. Our opinion should be correct and right. Right. So what happens? This demonstrates your ability to analyze and evaluate ideas. So ideas will be flowing freely from your end, and the examiner can understand and know, yes, you are thinking well, you are organizing your words and structure, and then you give your answers. So the examiner is also analyzing and evaluating you. Right? Okay. അടുത്ത സ്ലൈഡിൽ പോയിട്ട് നോക്കാം. Transition phrases. ഇത് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ lives when I used to take the previous live sessions, I always mention transition phrases. Using is very good. Right? So use transition phrases to connect your ideas coherently. Phrases like furthermore, in addition, and on the contrary can help you smoothly transition between points, making your speech more structured and easier to follow. ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അടുത്ത സെൻറ്റൻസിലോട്ട് പോകുമ്പോൾ ട്രാൻസിഷൻ ഫ്രേസ് അല്ലേ യൂസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, റൈറ്റ്? ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് ഓഫ് യൂസിങ് ആൻഡ് all the time, it's good you use phrases like furthermore, in addition, moreover, right? So there are a list. Google chida madi, you guys can get a list of transition phrases. And if you're practicing, I think many of the institutes and online ningal nokkuvaണെങ്കിൽ, you just type in the transition phrases, there will be hundreds of them that come up. Use it in your practice sessions instead of using and all the time. ഏത് സമയം and പറയുന്നതിനേക്കാളും നല്ലതാണ് furthermore, in addition to, on the contrary, moreover, however. ഈ വേർഡ്സ് ട്രാൻസിഷൻ ഫ്രേസസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ what happens? The transition from one sentence to the other sentence happens smoothly, right? And what it helps, the examiner knows that your vocabulary, you have a good vocabulary. Instead of using and, you are using furthermore, addition, however, moreover. ഇതൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്താൽ നമ്മൾ ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസും അടുത്ത സ്ട്രക്ചർ സെൻറ്റൻസ് കണക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ട്രാൻസിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് പോകുന്നു, right? So what happens is in that it makes your speech more structured and easier to follow. So make sure in your practice sessions ee transition phrases ningal padikkuva and use it and practice. Fair enough. So let's move over to the next slide. This is the last slide, and let's see what the last slide says. Expressing uncertainty. It's okay to admit when you're uncertain about a topic. Instead of guessing or providing inaccurate information, politely express your uncertainty. You can say, I'm not entirely sure about that, but I believe. This shows honesty and can lead to a more productive discussion. So, part 3 is a two-way discussion. I have said this before many times. In part 3, it's a two-way discussion where the examiner is asking you questions and you are giving answers, and in between he's asking your opinions, your ideas, why you feel like that, and what do you think about it. It's a two-way conversation happening. So there are many questions which will just come up out of the blue and you are never prepared, or you don't know how to answer that question. It's fine. You can just politely say, I'm sorry, eniki question manasilayittilla, I've never heard of it, I'm not sure about this question, but let me try to answer it the way I know it, right? Enikku ariyana pole njan answer cheyan nokkate. Or you can say, I'm not entirely sure about it, right? But I believe this can be the reason, or this is my opinion or my idea, this is what I feel. So what happens this way is, yes, aa samayathe examiner also knows that ellarkum ella question answer it's not a possible, there's no possibility that everybody or every candidate who enters the examination room, who goes for the speaking sessions, is prepared 100% and all the questions that's being put to him or her can be answered. There are many questions that you are not prepared and you have never heard of it, right? So avade namakku ariyathillengi, it's fine. It's not a sin that you did not, you don't know that. It's fine. So everybody's on a learning curve ilana, ellarum padichondirikana. So politely namakku parayan, I'm sorry, I've never heard about this question, but if I had to answer, I can say this, angane parangitte povam. Or you can say, I'm not entirely sure about it, but I believe this may be the reasons, or this can be the reasons. Fine. So what happens here, the examiner also understands, yes, you have a limitation. Namakku human beings are, there are limitations that everybody doesn't know everything. But yes, he or she tried to answer that in a way he or she understood. Avarku parayna pole manasilakkana, the way they understood. Natural English il naval paranju samsarichu. Right. So these were the few slides that I had put down today for you guys, and I hope this helped you all in this session. Moreover, if you want to practice, if you practice more, you'll become perfect. So make sure use these ideas and whatever I come up with, all these ideas that I come up with, and you use this for your practice sessions, so that when you go for your examination, you come out with flying colors. Nalla score medichita, nalla band score medichita, eragam battum. So I hope this session helped you a lot, and I'll see you in my next session. Take care till then. Goodbye. This is Mon Kurian signing off from Tiju's Academy, Tiruvalla.